Now, we were just talking about, in cooperation with the National Medal of Honor Museum Foundation, what we saw out at training camp is you got the opportunity to talk with Medal of Honor recipients, and one of them gave you their challenge coin, and then we saw Dak come back out and give some of the Cowboys challenge coins to those Medal of Honor recipients, and we were just recounting. We thought that was a really cool set of moments at training camp.
The thing the Medal of Honor recipients really, to me, that the message is the courage and the fact that while we're all born, nobody's you say they're disadvantaged and advantaged. Everyone has courage, and to the extent that you see normal people that have called on that courage, it's inspirational because male, female, any type of differences in us, we all have courage, and the recipients of the Medal of Honor show that, and they come out of their lives, and they've made this country what it is. And so that's what this celebration, that's what this visibility is about. And we're going to be doing it into millions and millions of people, not only this weekend, but forevermore. Picture what we do with the Salvation Army on Thanksgiving Day, and think about what we can do with this, not only the museum's presence there, and of course a great monument in Washington we'll have, but more importantly, think of what we'll be able to do with the visibility of the with Cowboys and Rangers and with people of sports. It's a great way for sports to give to the country.
Jerry, I'm going to take you back to when you were 18 years old, and I know you went to Arkansas, and we know that history. Was there ever a time in your kind of graduating high school that you thought about serving the country in a certain branch?
Well, I'll tell you, the times there were our Vietnam War time. And I had so many of the people that served were a part of our ROTC program. And when you went to a land-grant college, you automatically, for 2 years, were in the ROTC. If you decided to go your last 2 years of college and be in the ROTC program, you automatically served. And when you did, those served really on the front lines of Vietnam, and had some of the greatest sacrifices that this country's ever seen by those front-line people. I had two teammates, one that one of the most decorated soldiers of Vietnam, Mike Parker, that was a coach at the University of Texas and has a beautiful family and lives in Texas now. But, oh my goodness, what we owe to those people that served during that time and times like that in the services you'll never give it back enough for them. What they want to do, though, is they want to take their interest, what they did do, served with lives and their limbs, and their lives really impacted forever. What they want to do is create that interest and make it go into patriotism and for the country that we have today and for our young people today. Well, and that's possible to do.
Jerry, three of my best friends served, and they admire what y'all are doing here. They really appreciate it. But one of the things they always talk about with me is the ability to overcome adversity. They're all Cowboys fans too, so they want me to ask this question as well. This team that you have has been able to adapt and overcome so many things they didn't seem to be able to adapt and overcome last year or have it in the past for whatever reason. What trait or characteristic do you see personally that you think that's why this team is so adaptable this year?
Well, first of all, the numbers. And my hat goes off to Mike McCarthy, our head coach. And he's instilling this, and he's instilling it in numbers. One of his favorite messages to the team is it takes 80 players to make this work. Now, we know we only have active 52. Where does he get 80? It goes through our scouting squad, and it goes through our practice squad that we call it there. And then, of course, you have players that don't count because they are on injured reserve. But you can't get to where we want to go. But there aren't a lot of people involved in the effort. and he has won a Super Bowl. He knows that it was the numbers. We've got to get them ready, got to get the younger players ready to go. It does take a number of players to do it, and I think that's the biggest thing, is the number that are participating in what we've done so far with the Cowboys of players.
And Jerry, there's like the old saying is that like if you make a trade or make a move, that your team kind of gets a shot and an injection of energy from a big trade. We saw that with Amari Cooper. We saw that, right there with the Cowboys. What do you think, or what do you hope the message is to your team when you don't make a move?
Well, I think that we certainly had opportunities, but frankly, if you look at players that we have promise for right now, this year, next week, next month, we would be progress stopping in most cases to bring in another player. We've got players that can compete and should compete right now and are really in line to help us, if you will, for the future, which, by the way, in my way of looking at things right now, the future is the playoffs, not the years to come, although that's there too.
Now, when you talk about the variety of players and the adversity that's been overcome, we've got some tackle issues, so Lyle Collins and Terrence Steele, what all goes into the determination of, who goes on the right side, who goes on the left side based on continuity and practice time and everything like that?
Well, that's called position flex, and you first of all have to what I call get man. That means fundamentally get the man there in front of you and block him and keep him out of the hole or keep him off the quarterback. We've really had, thanks to our coaching, we've had, and obviously the talent of the player. But in Steele, we've really had a player that has evolved, and that is so that so emboldens encouragement through your entire team. I've always thought the offensive line sets the tone physically for the football team. And if you've got a very physical, if you've got a one that won't be beat or one that won't quit, if you have an offensive line that has that aura about it, it goes through the entire team. And that's what you're seeing with this team. And we've got position flex. We've got competition going on out there every practice. And not only that, we've got numbers. That's rare in the NFL.
So, Jerry, I know Amari Cooper had the unbelievable catch from Cooper Rush to win the game. He was working on his hamstring, was able to go back in and make the play to win the game. Just playing Major League Baseball and guys that dealt with hamstrings, it's just a tough thing to keep healthy throughout the season once you kind of injure that. Is there a concern of, or gosh, could we give him a game off to maybe get that hamstring back to 100%?
Well, we just left the bye, and of course that was the effect of that. It did give him a game off. The fact he's playing through it is, since you've experienced that in your career, you know what it's like. Because me being the starting fullback, I thought years and years ago, and I'm still mad about it today when I was in college. And so in that manner of speaking, you'd say it was life-changing if I put it in that context. But still, yes, soft tissue is a real challenge. It's a challenge in these athletes. It's always been, but it really seems to be one today. But we've made tremendous progress in the growth of how to treat them and how to get them ready to play. And it's just another tribute. When you look at these players and you see what they play through, what they play with, how they compensate for it, it's really, you understand why the game is as much about availability as it is ability.
Jerry, a terrible accident happened this week that we know about with the Raiders and Henry Ruggs out there in Las Vegas. Can you tell us a little more about what kind of options players have in those moments, what they can do, and what kind of decisions do you have to make as an owner, and what kind of conversations y'all have when something like this kind of comes up?
Well, first of all, I dare comment on another person's or team's person's accident, if you will, or situation. And one of the reasons you should is because you could blink and it could be right happening to you. And I think that's life. It's so sad, and I can't even begin to start where when you're involved in a tragedy like that, starting with the very victims themselves. But from the standpoint of the deal, we had a player that years ago had a terrible accident and had to be incarcerated for, I think, almost 7 years with a automobile accident. And those are that's a tragedy. And that word is dramatic, but that's a dramatic thing. We obviously, as a society, are dealing with substance and driving a lot more succinctly than we did when I was growing up or when I was a kid. And it should be that way. Because those places are to be made, and our society wants it as safe as it can be. So, again, that's all I've got to say about it. It's just I feel so bad for everybody involved, including all the way up through the people who support the Oakland Raiders.
Now, we got a question on Twitter asking about who the best Cowboys defensive player you've ever seen is, and could Micah Parsons surpass that? So I'm just curious. I know it's a tough question. There's a lot of options. Who is the best Cowboys defensive player you've ever seen?
Well, I've seen, because I met him, and I actually watched a lot of film on him, Bob Lilly play by watching film. And I knew people that played against him, I had a brother-in-law that had actually played against Bob Lilly. And so he's, in a lot of circles, thought to be the best defensive lineman that has played. That's saying a lot, and we all know those are really headed for a question the minute you make a comparison like that. But we've been around some outstanding ones. I will tell you, as accomplished or unique a player as I have seen was Charles Haley, and the way he approached the game and how the impact he made from his position in the defensive line. But Randy White has to be mentioned. And again, I think your question probably more on the teams that I've been involved directly in. But we've had some guys that I thought were great players, but one might say, well, but they didn't have the impact of a Donald. Well, Donald is one that wouldn't be a part of the Cowboys that I would have to say is about as impactful a player. And he was, when he came out, he looked like he could do that. It didn't make sense because of his size, yet he has been disruptive his entire career. So that's one that jumps to my mind and is still active and on the front of my mind.
Awesome answer right there. Appreciate it very much. And I one more thing for you is we talked about how amazing it's been, and Charlotte has spearheaded these efforts. You got more than $116 million already getting going from the Medal of Honor Museum Foundation. I was curious, do y'all have any fundraising tips for us? We have a charity show. We're going to do 14 straight hours of radio the day before Thanksgiving. Do you have any advice for us to help raise money and cool things to donate?
I have praise for you. I really do. I think it is the way to serve when you have visibility and you have celebrity. Then I think it is a great way to serve, incumbent upon you to use that unique position to have interested people, make them aware, and if you can, motivate them to give. We certainly live in a society that has always said, help your brother and sister. We've always felt that way. And that's a fundamental part of being a human being. And you guys, with such effort that you're talking about making like that, raised to the front. I will tell you, the most important thing about being involved with the Dallas Cowboys, that apart from just the move over from the competitive part and wanting to win. The most important thing that we have done was the work that the Cowboys have done with the Salvation Army. No matter where I go in this country, I'll have as many people walk up and say, thanks for the Salvation Army as I do Go Cowboys, and that happens every time you step out. My point to you is that that's the best use of this visibility and this talent to basically use those millions and millions. And we'll go to 70, 80 million people on Thanksgiving weekend talking about what the Salvation Army and Red Kettle is. And that has incrementally raised almost $3 billion over the last 20 years.
Wow.
So it can be impactful. We don't realize sometimes just how many people are listening or watching.
So we have a target then of $3 billion to get to this week, or by that time, Jerry. Thank you. We really appreciate that target there.
You bet, guys. Well, listen, I will say this. If it's $1, it was worth it, and I'll thank you for everybody else for your time and effort there. That's the way to go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jerry.
Okay.